Which means the only people watching these shows were the hardcore fucking gooners who could only think about anime titties and spending money on that shit. So
now you understand, chat. Now you understand why I am the way I am. Let's watch this together.
there's a kind of anime Japan literally cannot make anymore. Not won't, can't. And these types of anime will never be made ever again.
My God, Golden Boy! Ah, biggest fan of Golden Boy. Dudes, Golden Boy is the most based. Golden Boy got me into hand.
The ominous ambiance, the ethereal scenery, the
Ninja
beautiful
Scroll, Golden
grotesque
Boy, Bubblegum
violence
Crisis.
is something that
Dude,
Japan
there is some
cannot produce
awesome
in the same
shows.
These shows were born in a window of time when studios had too much freedom, too little oversight, and just
I think this is when studios still were actually animated studios before bigger anime corporates bought things up and it became more mainstream and it has to deliver to a mainstream audience. He's talking about shows from a time and era I hail from. This is how I discovered anime. It was such a niche, guys. It was such a nerd niche. There were just a handful of people who actually knew what Golden Boy was on my school, right? The rest, and that is lost, and that you cannot replicate that anymore. With the internet, everything's gotten so mainstream, you know.
enough madness. And then one day, they disappeared. So there's just one thing I gotta know.
Gone.
What the hell happened to them?
There was the
killed
era
this
of the
breed of
trading the
anime? What
VHS
changed
tapes,
so drastically
exactly.
that something this bold, this strange, this specific just stopped being made? Why do they feel like relics from another dimension? First, we need to figure out what these shows even were. And by the end of this, not only will you know exactly what kind of anime I'm talking about, you'll have a list of the most must-watch shows from this generation.
There we go, must
and you'll
watch.
understand why we'll never get anything like that.
Yes, get started with Golden Boy. You need to, like, chat seriously, hands down. I can recommend Golden Boy. Then Angel Egg. Don't actually know. Do I know the title of this one? Let's find out. Angel Egg is very dark and sad. It reminds me of Flickan med svavelstickorna. We have like we have an old fairy tale, right? There's like this poor girl that sells matchboxes on the streets, and she gets like money so she can buy food and clothes. But at the end, I mean, she freezes to death, and I think Angel Egg has that like as an it's like an interpretation of that fairy tale, the little match girl, right?
For again.
So very dark.
And
I also think like no one ever talks in like there's hardly any talking, you know. 1983. Let's go. Long time ago.
1983, a Japanese dude released a series that would spark a shift in anime so great, it shaped the next 2 decades. The series was called Dallos. It was totally unremarkable in terms of its story by modern standards, only remarkable in the way that it was released. Dallos was never shown on TV.
No,
Instead,
I don't
it was
think I know that
immediately
one.
sent to video stores as a VHS tape, marking it as the first ever
I can't know
OVA.
everything.
Original video animation. This is
was
Angel's Egg.
beautiful. And they had
After
like
Dallos
this,
shocked all of
you know, they had like this real depiction of angels and demons, like all this weird shit that I love about anime, like these creepy monsters, but at the same time so beautiful. Look at that city. Isn't it amazing? Wow.
After Dallos shocked all of Japan in 1983, studios quickly followed.
Ruckus, I'm supposed to know everything?
So it was only 2 years later until we got this masterpiece.
I
Set
know
in
a lot,
desolate
but not
primordial
everything.
world where only a single girl wanders. All she wants is to protect this egg. She thinks it'll hatch into an angel, and maybe that'll fix the emptiness around her. But what happens when someone tries to break that egg? What happens when that egg breaks? What's so gripping from Angel's egg?
Look at these pictures. Look at, like, I don't know. It's a different art form. That was like more like a niche. It's not like these big anime animation studios now that, I don't know, blasting out One Piece because it's so popular and everyone knows these characters. As soon as you start talking about anime, people go with like, yeah, Naruto, you know, Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon. This is all mainstream. But this is the true niche. This is the hardcore. This is where it spawned from. This is how I got into anime.
Is its atmosphere. It's how a story with almost no dialogue, only two characters in an ocean of silence can be so distinct. The setting, the ominous music,
and
mixed
yeah,
with
Dragon
how the
Ball
movie
wasn't
lingers
mainstream
on
before. It wasn't, but it was still like mainstream if you compare it to Angel Egg or Golden Boy. It still had its audience. It was huge in manga, right? I mean, that's the whole reason it turned into an anime in the first place, because it had a huge manga audience. It was one of the most popular manga books of all times, like comic books, right? This wasn't a manga. This came straight, like this was just a animated long film.
Stills builds an encompassing eerie tension that made me stew in my own thoughts until I couldn't help but be flooded with questions.
And it was weird.
It's spectacular. One of
and
the
it
most
wasn't for
evocative
kids
anime
either.
I've ever seen. Something like
It
this
was dark, depressing, but it's such a beautiful art style. Ranma, aww.
is only possible because it's an OVA. Now imagine for a second you tried pitching something like this to a modern
dialogue.
production committee.
Can you imagine? Like, dude, seriously, that wouldn't hold today. That wouldn't. You can't pitch like, oh, I want to create this film here now, or a TV show about like a girl and just music playing, but no one's talking ever. Like, no one says a shit.
And they'd look at you like you were insane.
Audience have no attention span for this anymore.
That's the thing.
Because you constantly have to explain the plot. All the time. All the time. Look at Stranger Things, like the last couple of episodes. And have like one of those, you know, click. How many times do they explain the plot in the last episodes? And that's like season 5, 6? You had 10 years to build up the plot. Everyone should know the story by now. We're at the final, and there you are still explaining the fucking plot. Get out of here. Fucking morons.
OVAs weren't built for mass appeal. They weren't meant to fill airtime or rake in box office numbers, because OVAs were designed to be bought physically before anyone ever saw a single frame. No TV broadcasts, no theatrical runs, just straight to VHS. And that gave creators a rare kind of freedom to make something stranger, slower, more specific, designed for a niche audience. With no time slots to fill, no censors to please, no runtime restrictions to worry about, it was just a director's unfiltered vision.
Just pure creative.
This allowed them to create such distinct works that are missing in modern anime. Which leads me to the next OVA that you might have missed, and I don't say this lightly. It might be the weirdest, most visually unhinged thing I've ever seen.
Catsup?
Meet
Oh, I
Catsup,
missed that
an experimental short film released in 2001. It follows the story of these two cats in particular, where this one
Vampire
tragically
Hunter.
passes
Oh my
away.
god, yay!
And while her soul is leaving her body, her sibling does everything he can to stop it, resulting in her soul splitting in two, which leaves his sister as a husk of her former self. So he goes on an adventure through the land of the dead to try to bring her back to how she once was. It sounds dramatic to say, but this might genuinely be one of the weirdest, most original things I've ever watched. experiencing a surreal, dialogue-free film centered around these two characters that's filled with existential imagery of a world collapsing in on itself is not something I could have
ever... But like I said, I can't know everything, dudes. I can't. It's just too much. And I bet there's still like to this day gets like in some weird indie studio, a small animated film is made with passion, right? Just gets shown by a handful of people and not spread and overconsumption via the internet.
Ever expected.
Maybe.
I mean that in the best way possible. The series is a perfect example of how wildly experimental an OVA can be. It has an awkward runtime of 35 minutes. It has no dialogue. It has these stupid-looking cats as the main characters. It's the kind of thing that would never get greenlit today.
What do you mean,
likewise,
stupid-looking cats?
I'd be shocked if you could find the current series as unapologetically provocative as this comedy OVA masterpiece. Now, Golden Boy is almost the OVA of OVAs to be watching from that older generation. It came out in 1995 with a dub that rivals the legendary titan of comedy anime dubs, Ghost Stories.
Think of a big black man chasing you!
I used to stay up, like, I used to pretend to go to bed. And my mom was just like, okay, that's it. Go to bed now. You got school tomorrow, right? And I would sneak in my bedroom and then pretend I would already fall asleep. And then I would sneak back into the TV room and put this on. It was on MTV. It was running at like 11 or midnight. It went on for like half an hour or an hour. It got like 1 or 2 episodes. And I was just like, oh my God, Golden Boy. It chased after the most hottest, boobalicious of waifus. And yeah, I think Golden Boy is the whole reason I started gooning and gotten lost in like hentai and just like, wow.
Well, he's not racist.
Golden Boy is a show that embodies the
amazing.
Let's all get fucked up and watch this show at 3 a.m. and laugh our asses off. Its formula is simple. New episode, new job, new girl, Kentaro starts tweaking out. And usually leads to chaos and life lessons. Nothing groundbreaking here. But here's the thing, it didn't really need to be.
I was so in love with Golden Boy too. And somehow, I mean, he always struggled with getting the ladies, but still like somehow... Because he put the effort into it, right? He always started a new job in a different area. And then at the end of the show, he got the girl anyway. Or at least like some small schmooch.
This type of joke.
He's a freak.
Son of a...
Now, something along the lines of this. That's a night and day difference, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but they do come from completely different places. It's not just about laughs, it's about what we expect from a comedy and what we're willing to laugh at.
I love that
See, in the 80s and 90s, OVAs were being sold directly to fans. You had to buy the damn thing if you wanted to watch it, which means the only people watching these shows were the hardcore fucking gooners who could only think about anime titties and spending money on that shit. So
now you understand, chat. Now you understand why I am the way I am. Because it's all Golden Boy's fault, right? It's my growing up. I can explain, okay?
So, of course, studios weren't trying to hit mass appeal. The masses literally couldn't watch these things. Instead, what rose to the top were the weird, the provocative, the unforgettable. And that's why you get jokes like this.
My queen! Oh, you're so naughty!
Yes! Oh, I remember that episode. He thinks it's a girl, but it's an old dude, I think.
That's comedy gold to them. Today with anime on every...
With the toilet water. Oh, he was always having like these daydreams and fantasies. Oh my God, so sexy.
Streaming platform, creators are thinking broader. Anyone can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. So creators aim for a wide appeal.
He's
and
a real
OVAs were targeted at very specific demographics, you don't see a lot of tropes you're used to in modern anime. No high school settings, no power of friendship speeches. Instead, you get stuff that's cut from a more unique cloth.
Wait, you don't have that anymore? I haven't watched new anime in forever. I only watch like a good... I mean, must understand. Sucks being an adult, but I don't have the same time as I did when I was a teenager. I consumed a shit ton of manga, anime, comics. I was a nerd through and through. That's it, right? But as a grown up, you have work, you have bills. You can't binge watch through all Naruto seasons on a weekend, right? Because you got to do other shit.
And well, because of who these shows were made for, you get
80s
things like
and
this.
90s just hits different.
This is Bubblegum Crisis.
Yes,
a slick cyberpunk
Bubblegum!
OVA from 1987 that oozes style.
Oh my
It follows
God,
an
the
all-female
music!
squad of mercenaries fighting corrupt mega corporations, rogue robots, and whatever else needs blowing
So
up in a
sexy.
neon-lit Tokyo. And it might have the sickest opening 5 minutes I've ever seen in anime. It doesn't start with a little character introduction.
Oh,
It doesn't even
yes.
start with a normal anime opening. It just hits you full on with a J-rock/city pop.
She's actually the OG inspiration of very first anime, like Juju. The fluff hair, like that 80s bob thing. Yeah, that's what I took a picture of her and sent it as a reference image. Like before I shifted to the dreadlock version, right?
It doesn't even start with a normal
Hot
anime
punk girl,
opening.
yeah.
It just hits you full on with a J-rock/city pop performance, like a music video from a cooler timeline. It's not
So
even an
fucking
opening
cool.
theme, it's just a song.
All these glam rock anime shows. There were so many of them. I loved them. There was one. They had like this fat cat, right? And it worked in a sushi store. And his older brother was in a rock band. I can't remember the name of the show, but that was my absolute favorite. I used to draw him like in my sketchbook, and I was so in love with the main character. I was like, wow.
Because why not? You
And
would
it was from
never
the
get
early
anything
80s. And it was like, she was like a cute shopkeeper, and her father had this sushi restaurant, and there was this fat cat. And then there was this rock band. So,
like that today in
Yeah.
anime. Or how about Wicked City? Now, this one's for more real degenerates. The basic setup is this. There's a barrier between the human world and the demon world, but it's getting weaker, and demons disguised as people start leaking into the human world. And let's just say, if you take the wrong girl home from a bar, you might not be waking up. You're catching every demon STD known to man and dying with zero dignity. So it follows a stoic demon hunter, a demon woman, as they're tasked with
Was a
protecting
rock
this
band
man
in a
who will
sushi
restore that
restaurant.
barrier. It's sleazy, it's stylish, it's a little fucking sexual, but I gotta be honest.
TV shows I will never find again that I watched them as a kid. Nostalgia. I know exactly what the characters sound like, what they look like, but I can't describe it. Does that make sense? And I don't remember like the name. I don't. No. It's gone.
There's still something cool about it. Not because of the weird sex pest energy, but because it's bold. It was made with an audience in mind that doesn't really exist anymore. An audience that wanted violence,
Nostalgia, keep
horniness,
it
and some of the
going. Yeah, let's
sickest
go.
hand-drawn animation you've ever seen. Every time I saw this scene,
Dude,
I was like, I love this stupid.
it doesn't get more 80s anime than this. Like driving a car through a city like Skylight, and then probably some synthwave pop music running, right? This is like OG anime. These night drives and synth pop playing in the background.
Man. Now there's one more type of OVA that we need to talk about. I'm talking about OVAs born from early hype. When a manga was so gassed out of the gate, studios couldn't wait. They just had to cash in, even if it meant rushing out tiny half-baked adaptations way before the story was ready. Like Gunsmith Cats. It follows Rally and Minnie, two girls who run a gun shop by day and are bounty hunters by night. But here's
I
the thing,
remember
the
that
OVA
one.
isn't even a straight adaptation of the manga. It's an original side story. However, it's still pretty damn good. It's cute, it's fun, it's got
It's
some
got that
absolutely
90s
fire
style.
animation, and the opening looked so damn good. But when you watch
Gunsmith
it, you can feel that it's
Cats,
just
yeah.
a glimpse of what the full story could have been if it ever got a proper adaptation. Then there's also Yokohama Shopping Log, a quiet, reflective series set after humanity's decline in a post-cataclysmic world.
Oldies, reminiscing about the good old days. But there's something about like the old art style of the anime as well, right? It does. I don't know. You can tell by just looking at it.
Follows a robot girl living peacefully among the remnants of a fading world. It's cozy. It's slow. It's the anime equivalent of sitting on a porch with a cup of tea and watching the sunset. And it's so good.
Anime always have a slower pace, right? Because also the frames, they don't like, what is it? Regular Western animated use how many frames per second in an animated? Like how many images are appearing? And an anime, you can hold like the same frame for like literally a minute and only the mouth is like moving, nothing else moves. Or like action frames, you just see the villain and the hero and then a bunch of stripe lines and then they're screaming something, but nothing is actually moving. And I love that about anime, that you capture how important a still frame is, right?
Precisely because it doesn't try to overdo it. There are tons of OVAs like these. Early adaptations where studios bet big on a manga's potential. Sometimes way too early. But that's the part of what
you appreciate the artwork much more as well. And you also, this gives you an advantage. You can spend more time drawing an image. That means that usually anime have way better detailed backgrounds and city skylines, and not just, if you compare it to the Western drawn, it's usually like blurry backgrounds and then the item is highlighted or something. Anime allows you to spend way more time with one frame.
Makes them so special. Today, if a manga popped off like this, you'd expect a 13 to 25 episode full season, but back then, you might get 2 episodes in a VHS release. It would be like if someone adapted Chainsaw Man into an 8-episode OVA in 2019. Sure, this was gonna get an anime, but if you jump the gun that early, it's just too soon. That's why these early OVAs feel kinda like time capsules. They're not full adaptations. They're whispers of what could have been, snapshots of potential before the stories even fully bloomed. And if you're a fan of the original manga, these OVAs feel like little treasures. But it's not just OVAs that captured that feeling. It's not just the short, rough gems that we'll never see made this way again. There's a whole other side to this lost era of anime, and that's the films. So let me talk about a story that embodies that loss of grit, and is also my favorite anime film of all time.
Vampire Hunter D, yeah! That's a good one.
Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust follows D, a bounty hunter hired to retrieve a girl abducted by a vampire nobleman, Baron Meyer. At the same time, another group is hired for the same mission. The two parties race after Meyer,
I love them so much.
And wandering through swamps and breaking into invisible hideouts and clashing with shapeshifters and shadow weavers and werewolves all along the way. But the twist is, Charlotte wasn't kidnapped. She went with Meyer willingly, which throws everything into chaos.
Also, I think the biggest difference between Western animation and cartoons generally aims for an audience that are kids. While anime, it was never directed towards, sure, there are shows that are directed to kids, but it feels more like an adult version. It's okay for an adult to watch cartoons. Meanwhile, here, I remember, let's say generation, my parents, it would be like, oh my God, didn't you grow up? Are you still watching cartoons? Even I had to defend myself in high school, getting bullied by the cool kids for watching cartoons, right? It's not a thing that you do once you grow out of it. It's something kids do. But I always found that anime is an exception. Anime was never meant for kids. Like Vampire Hunter D, that's not something you should consume as a child. That's something that you can only fully understand when you're grown up and what it actually means. And it's made for an adult audience.
The bounty hunters stick with their contracts or let Charlotte live by her own choices. The straight up plot is not my real source of obsession with
It's not
Vampire
Disney
Hunter
cute,
D
it's-
Bloodlust. I think it instead stems from the nuggets of an ending dedication to the
amazing.
minute details of the film. It's mystical.
Yeah, and the casuals are invading the anime because it's getting more mainstream. It's not a niche anymore. It's gotten a wider audience. It's also spreading on a global. Like, people know way more anime now, and it's also gotten more accepted, right?
Creatures, its distinct character designs, its grandiose backgrounds, its elegant frames, its sweeping dynamic camera shots. It's these little details that flesh out the world and breathe all of the life into the story. And to me, the one moment that really captures that magic happens right after Dee's first encounter with the Marcus brothers. After the encounter, he rides alone into an empty desert. He dismounts from his horse, kneels by the ground, and examines faint tracks in the sand. At first, it feels quiet, still, like nothing is out there. And then you realize he's standing before a herd of sand mantas. And without hesitation, Dee leaps onto their backs, riding them across the wasteland. It's a scene that doesn't need many words. It doesn't need a fight. It's pure atmosphere, pure world building executed perfectly.
Beautiful.
And to me, that's the real beauty of Bloodlust. It's not about the flashiest fight choreo. It's not about having the most lavishly detailed backgrounds. It's about the elegance of the world itself. The quiet sense that this strange dying universe existed long before you started watching it and will keep existing after you're gone. When you see
So beautiful, right?
shots like this, you can almost feel
Leon
the
is
world
getting
Dee lives
lonely,
in.
has
And
to
when
wait
the
just a
film
couple
shifts
more
from scenes
minutes.
like this
I'll be there,
to this,
Leon.
you
Leon
can
can
sense
wait.
the vastness of the journey. The dedication to every detail in
Building
Bloodlust
up
is
the
overwhelming. And given a little
anticipation.
more context, the story of why becomes a bit more clear. Back in
Leon.
1985, there was another Vampire Hunter D movie, but compared to Bloodlust, it felt rushed. So much so that the original creator constantly criticized it. That failure lit a
Cheapness.
fire under the team behind Bloodlust. And I think it shows. Every frame feels handcrafted and deliberate. And in a way that Bloodlust would never understand, it was kind of like a farewell letter to an era. Because the truth is, anime like this only existed because of a perfect storm. A booming economy, loose censorship, and studios willing to throw cash at bizarre, risky visions. OVAs and films alike thrived in that chaos. But when Japan's economy collapsed in the 90s, the Wild West days dried up.
It's a monkey virus. And just keep yapping. That's it. It got bought up. They got too much money, and that's not necessarily a good thing. It's the same. Like, as soon as it goes corpo, or you have investors or stuff, it loses its independence, its charm.
Budget
Now it tries to
shrank,
please
and
to
risk
everyone.
tolerance disappeared. In 1994, there were 70 different OVAs. In 2024, just 5. That era is gone. And with it, a kind of anime that felt experimental, raw, and unforgettable.
Dude, 5?
Sure, sparks of that energy still show up in shows like
Really?
Devilman Crybaby or Cyberpunk Edge Runners, but they're rare. And maybe that's why these shows feel so special. Not because they're perfect, but because they couldn't be made today. They were snapshots, strange,
Yes,
messy,
80s
and
80s
beautiful
was
proof
peak.
that anime once played
When it
by
comes to
different
anime,
rules. And now
80s,
they're
90s?
waiting for someone curious enough to find them, dust them off, and remember what anime used to be capable of.
Isn't 5 standalone OVAs? Yeah. Crazy. We did it! We didn't yap for hours and hours for once. Well, we kind of did. We did. We're yapping way too much. I'm blaming you, chat. There's the link to the video. I thought this was very interesting to cover both like the Western perspective, our cartoon and brainwashing with the Disney, and now going on the other side of the world where we lean into more like how things have changed over time, right? By becoming more popular, all these like indie OVAs basically are non-existent anymore, and that's it. It's the end of an era.